What's up, resellers? I'm Rebecca, and you're watching Rebecca the Reseller. Thanks for joining me today for a brand new video. So I guess all my videos are new, but this particular video, I've really been trying to retool what my weekly video will be like. As many of you know, and as many of you have done, I've had to make some changes in my business due to the fact that I'm keeping Gio home from school and doing homeschool myself for him. He is in a VPK or pre-K year, so it's before kindergarten, it's before official elementary school. It is a voluntary year, but we were going to do it, and I'm going to do it now for him at home. And so there's just not going to be time for everything. And so I've really scaled back my business. Check out the other video that I have on it. I don't even remember what I called it. I think it was like big announcement or something about all of what's going on with that. But so because I'm doing that, because my business has changed, my weekly videos kind of have to change because I'm not doing the same things and can't share with you the same things. But don't you worry, I've got a lot planned. So this video is going to really be kind of what I had intended when I first started my channel and just never really got around to do it. I wanted like a weekly show where I shared a few different things going on in my business. That was more like a show with segments. So I actually have some segments. Oh, actually I should be on my first slide. So these are some of the segments that I'm going to be sharing. Now, I want your feedback. I want people to watch it. I want this to be valuable for you. I can change it. So this is what I'm thinking. It's what I'm working on. So kind of like a weekly snapshot of just some highlights of things that I'm working on to let you know. And that will change from week to week. Some Poshmark solds, some ThredUP solds, answering your questions. So I'll actually be finding questions that are in my YouTube comments or in my Instagram comments and answering them in this video for all. And you can submit more and I'll tell you how to do that. And then a segment called Beyond Reselling where I talk about something other than reselling that's still kind of connected, but beyond reselling. And then I'll have a tip of the day. So this is what I'm thinking, and it'll kind of be just like a weekly show that I do. Now, for right now, there are several videos that I pre-recorded that you'll still see on my channel. So by the time you see this, you may be seeing some other videos. I'm intending that this particular version would be like a weekly Sunday thing. That way I always have a video going up on a Sunday. And if I am able to do another video, then I'll have that go up on a Wednesday. Usually like Sunday and Wednesday were always my main days. So if I can get a bonus video out, which I'd love to and I want to, then that'll go up on a Wednesday. But this would take the place basically of my what sold on Poshmark videos that were doing pretty well for myself. But the reason why I feel like I can't do it is because I sent all my thrifted items to ThredUP, and any thrifted items that I get in now, pre-owned items, thrifted items, those are all going to ThredUP. And so Poshmark is just my boutique items. So it's the same items that are selling over and over again. They're multiple quantity listings and they're unbranded. And so if you're not doing boutique, I don't know how that would be helpful for you. So I am going to share some of them because I do have some things to bring up, but I don't think that that could be the whole video because I know people watch it to find out what thrifted brands they should be purchasing. So that's the major change. However, I'm kind of then replacing that with the ThredUP solds portion. And if I feel like I can do completely what sold on ThredUP, I may, but I have some ThredUP videos coming out, whether it's before or after this video, that are like ThredUP things that sold for over $30 or my top 50 ThredUP sales or whatever. So I'm going to have a lot of that kind of info coming out. So do stay tuned for that. Okay, that was a lot of ramble. Sorry, you know how that goes. So let's jump into what I'm working on. And I did these slides just so I would have something to like click on and show you, but then I have actual things to show you. So what I'm working, I have notes as usual. So in the first segment, what I'm working on is minimizing and simplifying my workflow due to the homeschooling. So I kind of just talked about that briefly, but basically all thrifted items, pre-owned items, and new items that are thrifted, that are branded, your J. Crew, your whatever, that's going to ThredUP. So ship it in a box, send it off to ThredUP. I'm doing about 2 to 4 boxes a week. Okay, then Poshmark has my boutique items, unbranded, brand new, wholesale, items that I purchase in bulk for multiple quantity listings. I have swim items, I have jewelry items, I have hair accessories, these kinds of things. And those are all on Poshmark. And then I've been cross-posting them to Mercari. So I basically have a boutique on Poshmark and I have a boutique on Mercari. And so that has been going well, and I will share more information about that. So that is great because the work is done once. I don't have to keep doing photos. Like, I haven't taken photos in weeks and weeks and weeks. So I'm not doing photos. I'm not, weighing things on a regular basis. Like, everything has just gotten a lot more smooth. Send it off to ThredUP, or keep reselling multiple quantity listings and reordering the same things that are already listed. So again, I'll share with you those strategies, but that's basically whittled down my week into a minimal amount of time. Like, ThredUP takes me maybe 5 hours a week, and Poshmark and Mercari, maybe 30 minutes a day, as far as like major stuff. Then obviously on Poshmark, I'm sharing, and on Mercari, I'm doing some relisting. So sharing does take obviously more actual time, but it is what it is. I just share as much as I can when I can squeeze it in, and it is what it is. But it's nice because I'm not doing all this extra listing. So everything that I'm doing is streamlined. YouTube got streamlined. Like I said, I pre-recorded a lot of videos. Now I'm trying to do just one weekly video, so that we start our homeschool September 2nd, because I needed some time to like get everything organized. And so that's going to start September 2nd. And so anything happening after that will kind of catch up with itself. So stay tuned to see what shape I'm in after that gets going. The other thing is I did start a homeschool channel. It's called Watch Me Homeschool, all one word. There's another channel, Watch Me Homeschool. That's not me. You know what I look like, so you'll find me. And so if you are a homeschooling mom of, a 4 or 5 year old, or your kid's a little bit younger, you may want to check that out. I do book recommendations, like hauls and stuff recommendations and unboxings, and like actually what we're doing with our homeschool. I don't know if I'm going to keep that for forever. I'm not as passionate about it as I am my reselling channel, for whatever reason. Probably because it's just super small, and I just don't know if I have the patience now to do it when there isn't like the community. Like, I built the community with Rebecca the Reseller, and you guys are there, and I know you're there, and it makes it a lot more meaningful to do the videos than when you're talking to kind of almost no one. And you know that because you see the views and you see the subscribers. So you want to give me a little support over there, I'd love it for you to subscribe, watch some videos, let me know that you're there, or share it with someone that might, enjoy that kind of content if they're doing that kind of thing, homeschool for their little one. Anyway, so let's move on, because again, this is meant to be segments of fast-paced stuff so that you get all the value out of it, but this is the first one, and so it's a little here and there. Normally this would be more actionable items, but this is what I'm working on this week, so I'm sharing it with you. Reseller products on Etsy. For those of you that have watched for any amount of time, you know that I have an Etsy store, and this is where I put all of my reseller resources that I've made for my business that I share with you. And so I have keywords lists and Poshmark closet signs and closet reviews, and I have a ThredUP tracker now, and just all kinds of stuff. So I'm actually going to start doing giveaways on my Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure that you do. It's at Rebecca the Reseller, and I have one going on now. You'll probably not see that by the time this goes live, but I'm sure I'll be running more. And so check out the store, see if there's anything you might need. It's a great way to thank me for any content I may have provided to you. But aside, I think they're good products that help you in your business, and they're things that I made for my business. So I hope that you can find something that might be, relevant to you. But I've been working a lot on this because I feel like this is a great way to kind of offset the fact that my reselling business has changed and still stay within the reseller community, even though that has happened. So I'm still doing my YouTube, I'm still putting out my Rebecca the Reseller products, and I'm enjoying doing that. So I hope that you check it out. And the next thing that I'm working on is Reseller Chats on Calendly. It's really hard for me to say that word for some, it's a weird word, Calendly. So this is what it is. It's basically a website where you can go ahead and post yourself, and people can make appointments with you. They can schedule it themselves, and they can pay for that appointment. Hello. So I have a few on here. Right now I have a 15-minute reseller chat, a 30-minute reseller chat, and a 60-minute reseller chat. And you can go ahead and click into each one and review the information in there on some topics that we can cover. And it's basically, if you have something that you want to ask direct questions about, if you want advice about a particular topic, if you want to get in depth about some problems or issues you're having with ThredUP, or some really actionable ways to increase your Poshmark, or some time management things because you're a reseller mom, or you want to figure out more specifically how to organize your Poshmark inventory and create an inventory system, or you just want to talk about anything reselling related, I'm happy to do it. I just need to cover my time, and that's why I charge for it. So there's a 15-minute appointment, a 30-minute appointment, and a 60-minute appointment. Check it out if that's something you might be interested in. I've had 3 calls so far. I have somebody else that said they're going to schedule one this week. And they've been awesome. Like, they've been so much fun for me. I feel like I've given great information. I mean, of course, I'm going to say that. But I feel like the people have gotten a little bit out of it. As they send me testimonials, I'm posting it on my Instagram, but so far it's going well. And I don't want to put out something that is not helpful, valuable. I'm not trying to take your money and be like a shyster about it. Like, I just want to help you, and sometimes talking is a great way to do that because it can be very specific, and I need to cover my time, and that's about it. So it's pretty cool. I've enjoyed it. I hope you will check it out, and there's links down below for that, I think. Yes, should be. Okay, so let's move on to the next section, which is the what sold on Poshmark. So let's talk about a couple of listings here. First up, this is a thrifted item. There were a few items that I kept on Poshmark because I couldn't send them to ThredUP. And one of the things that I'm pretty sure I remember is that ThredUP does not take any fur type items. And so I wasn't sure with this Angora wool blend hat, because it is fur, you know, how that would work. Also, as a hat, I didn't know how that would work. Like, I just wasn't sure. I didn't want to send it in. So I kept it at home. The head is Harriet, if you haven't met her, and I've only had to use her a few times, but I love her. And so I had this up for like $39, and I do think it should have sold for more, but at this point, I do not want to keep any thrifted items in my house. I'm finished with that. I'm just keeping my boutique items in a very limited space, and so any of the things that I have that are still thrifted items, I'm really kind of letting go. So when I got the $15 offer, I took it right away and said peace with it. Like, I thought about keeping it longer. We are heading into winter, but I said no. Give them a good deal. Let's get it out of my house and, you know, let them enjoy it. So I sold this Angora wool blend hat for $15. Again, it should have been more. I would have liked for it to have been more. I love Angora products. I love things that have Angora in it. This is one of my boutique items. This is a boho gypsy wraparound waist belt in camel. I have it in coffee brown and in camel. And this is just one of those things that I wanted to share as far as having a multiple quantity listing, a boutique item that you can use the photos that you know, you can potentially use photos from where you purchased it from. You have to make sure that's okay, and put it up. The information is up there once. You can get it in multiple colors, so it's multiple listings. You set up a template for yourself, and you can just sell it again and again. And like, I could go and someone asked me if they have it in black, and they do, and they have it in other colors. So I may go and purchase this because now I've sold a few in camel. I've sold a few in coffee brown. I may go and get a black one and add that to my offerings, and, you know, have that as something that I can make available to people. So when you are adding multiple quantity listings or boutique items, you know, these are just things that you want to think about is, can I add more than one color? Obviously, if it's a clothing item, you'd be adding more than one size. But you can get more listings out of it in separate colors, or you can have them as one listing with multiple colors being offered. For me right now, I want the listings, so because I don't have that many, so I want them each to be in separate listings. So anyway, I sold this on an offer for $15, and I thought that was fine. So I just wanted to kind of share that one. Let me let that go away so I can move on to the next one. Go away. Actually, let me get rid of this and that, so that way that's out of the way. Okay, Ikea bags. So I did post on my Instagram that because I am scaling everything down, shipping everything off to ThredUP, I no longer needed my storage unit. So I've given up my storage unit. There's probably somebody in there now. It's very sad. But I'm happy to not have to make the trip. It was only 4 minutes, but it still took time back and forth and just things I had to manage there and all of the supplies that I had. And so I was able to kind of repurpose all the shelving that I had in there. But then I ended up with millions of Ikea bags because I had, you know, them for storage. I had them for shopping. I had them for when I had my photographer. Like I had Ikea bags for everything. So I started selling them off. And the reason why I did it kind of specific with my reseller group is because I did put these, I had these leftover things from the USPS, the information sleeves. I had them extra when I got my Dymo. I didn't need them anymore, so I put them on my Ikea bag so that I could put my inventory numbers in. So that's a little tip. But so I sold off, I'm just looking at, I have 3 boxes left of this kind. So the bundle of 6 Ikea Fracta blue open storage bags. I have 3 of them left. All of them do not have the pockets on them. They're just straight used in good condition Ikea bags as normal, not with this pocket. The original ones that I sold had the pocket. And I just put this up here to actually make a lesson. Like, I couldn't believe that all these Ikea bags sold. Now, granted, I do have an audience of resellers, and so when I posted it on Instagram, I'm sure other resellers bought them. But I had several sales that just kind of happened haphazardly, you know, not related to the post perhaps, because it was a certain period of time later. And so I feel like people just buy Ikea bags, and I just couldn't believe it. But then someone told me on Instagram, like, oh, they're not available where they are, or oh, it's hard to get them. And I know, because I wanted to order them, that the shipping is ridiculous. And so I can go to an Ikea here in Orlando. It's not super close, but I can go there. And so I kind of save up, you know, when I need a trip. And I love going there. And I love sitting and eating at the little cafe and eating the Swedish meatballs, which you can't do anymore apparently. But Ikea bags, who knew? So I guess the point here is not necessarily for you to go out and sell Ikea bags, but because most of these I was just kind of like breaking even on. There, some of them I made a little bit of profit, but mostly I was just trying to, like, you know, get rid of them and get them out of my house. But basically, if you find something that works, like if you sell something once and then you can dig around it and you can do it again and you can dig around it and do it again, you may be onto something. And it probably doesn't exactly work with thrifted items, but if you are dabbling in retail arbitrage or just wanting to branch out into other categories from clothing perhaps, start with one thing, see how it goes, see what the demand is, and then build upon it. Like, after selling off all of these, I'm like, oh my God, should I be selling Ikea bags? Like, is that a thing? I don't know if it just went so quickly because I happened to post it to my resellers or not. I don't want to dwell on this, but it just really got me thinking that there are so many other things that you can sell, and you just have to try. And it doesn't mean, you know, sink your whole battleship on it and like dump all this money into it. Like, my initial reaction was, oh my God, I have to go to Ikea right now and buy 1 million bags so I can sell them all. And then I was like, no, don't do that, because the point was you were getting rid of the Ikea bags you had, not to go buy more to sell. So the larger lesson is dabble with something you may have in your house that you can sell and see how it goes. And could you then multiply on that? Could you then find a boutique or a multiple quantity listing or a wholesale item that fulfills that same need that you can then capitalize on? So that's the lesson there. Sorry, that was a little long-winded and took me a while to get my point across. But anyway, I thought that was a cool sale. Here is another one of my multiple quantity boutique items. Apparently this like layered chain, multiple layers necklace thing is kind of in. I don't know if I picked a good one or not, but this one has sold a few times and it did sell for full price. And that's why I wanted to bring it up here, because with my boutique items, I'm getting them wholesale from overseas. And so I am getting them at a low price. And that has helped me offset some other things that I'm paying up for on thrifted items. And so having the lower, you know, cost of goods on the jewelry items, because they're small and they're little, and the hair accessories, like, they're small and they're little. My swim items cost me more, my clothing items cost me more in the boutique, but the jewelry specifically is a little bit more economical. So I'm able to more freely give offers. So I run some pretty good offers. I have a couple deals where, I don't know if I have it in this listing. Yeah. So all jewelry items are 3 for $35 with free shipping. So if somebody bundles 3 items, I'll send them an offer of $35 in free shipping. That's pretty good. So I'm doing a lot of promotions with my boutique items, but I wanted to make the point that you don't have to give away everything. I sell a lot of them on an offer at discounted, and then there are the people, same with thrifted items, that go in and buy at full price. My profit margin is amazing on this item. So the idea that you can't be profitable with boutique items is not true. I think you need to be measured in how you do it. You need to try things. You need to do certain stuff. I mean, this is not my first boutique time. I've definitely had some problems. I've learned a lot. I'm going to be doing more content on it. It's just really hard for some reason for me to wrap my head around how to express the things I've learned with my boutique items than I have with all the other Poshmark strategies. I don't know why, I just have such a major issue with it. So it is coming. I have lots of notes and lots of things to put together. I just felt like I haven't pulled enough together to really make a coherent video yet. And you know, I can barely make coherent sentences most of the time. So this is just, again, if you are thinking of dabbling into boutique, consider getting things at a price point that you can offer, getting things at a cost of goods that is manageable to where you can offer it at a price point that still allows for promotions and deals and sales and offers, but is still really great when someone purchases it at full price. So that was that. The next one is my jewelry mystery box. So what I started doing a while back, when I started doing reseller inventory boxes, I really kind of liked it. It was a lot of work, and that's why I stopped doing it, because for the margin I was making and for the actual profit I was making, that work didn't seem like it evened out when I could have just sold certain things myself and made a bigger profit. So that's why I stopped doing the reseller boxes, because I wasn't shopping at the bins anymore. If I was shopping at the bins, I could still do reseller inventory boxes for clothing, but because the bins were out for me, I just couldn't. So when I started getting into jewelry, I thought, you know, it would be really fun to do mystery boxes. I know there are a lot out there, and there are probably a lot of junk, because when I started doing the reseller inventory boxes, people would message me like, I've been burned in the past, I bought things and it's just such junk and it's terrible, like yours seem really good, is it too good to be true? Like, I was doing honest to goodness good reseller inventory boxes, and people would just tell me how awful other ones they've purchased were in the past, that it made me think, like, I can't believe people, I mean, I guess I believe that people scam people out there, but it just makes me so upset because I would never do that. So just gets me. But so I like doing these boxes. Like, I think it's fun to make. I think it's fun for people to get. Like, I just get a little kick out of it. And so I thought it would be fun to do a new boutique jewelry mystery box and just see how it goes. So this is the first one I've sold. I haven't sold any others recently, but it's boutique items. They're all brand new. And the thing is, again, this is a multiple quantity listing. I put it up there, and if it sells, it sells, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. I didn't really put a lot of work into it once it's listed and ready. So it's 5 items, it's $35, and then if they bundle it, I'll send them an offer for free shipping, but it is firm at $35. So I thought that was cool. I did sell one, so my very first one, so I'm waiting to see what the rating is on that, and hopefully it goes well. You want it to go well. The big thing with selling mystery boxes or reseller boxes is building a reputation and getting those reviews and testimonials, and that's the most important thing. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you posted on this. The other thing I'm really toying around with that I'd love to do to help you guys grow your boutique or start your boutique or just dabble in it is offer reseller jewelry inventory boxes. So not a mystery box like this where you're a customer that just wants jewelry for themselves, but actually meant for a reseller with prices that a reseller could then still make money off of. So I'm working on that right now. I've got a framework. I've got it kind of figured out. I don't know that I'm going to do it under On My Rack, because I don't want that to compete with the mystery box, because then the person the customer wouldn't buy the mystery box, they'd buy the reseller box and get a cheaper price, and that's not what it's for. So I'm working on that. That will be coming soon. Message me any questions you might have about that, or any tips you might have about that, or anything you want to tell me about that, because I'm still kind of monkeying around with it. You're hearing it here first. But I think that would be fun too, because I can get a volume discount at my supplier if I order more, but I only have so much space. I only want to have so much merchandise here. So if I can order in volume, we can all get like a good discount, and then I basically pass it to you. Obviously I need to make a little something for doing it, but it gives you the chance to not have to go through the supplier, dealing with overseas, like ordering big bulk purchases. You know, like you can just do a small thing from me and see how it works. And then if you want to do your own thing, you do your own thing. So anyway, I'm working on that. More to come on that. Let me know what you think. So those are the what sold on Poshmark. It's very different than the what sold on Poshmark that I used to do. We'll see what I have to bring you going forward. I do still have thrifted items listed on Poshmark, and I do still have obviously the boutique stuff. I may also add in from time to time how Mercari is going, so let me know in the comments below if you're interested in that. Now let's move on to what sold on ThredUp. Again, this is a new format for me. I'm rambling a lot because it's new. Usually when I kind of have everything figured out, I can go faster. So please bear with me and watch the whole thing if you can, and come back to it and let me know how you think I can make it better. So these are my ThredUp solds, and the only way I could really figure out how to do this without scrolling through every single bag on the ThredUp website, which is so cumbersome, is to go to my emails. So I actually set up some folders, set up some emails, and filters, and so I'm going to show it to you this way. So these are my emails. This is an item that's sold, a Vince Camuto short sleeve blouse, size medium. My payout was $15. I think that's great. Vince Camuto does not always do so well. I was happy to get $15 without doing any work and just sending it off. And I want to show several different kinds of sales here. So some of them are going to be good. Some of them are going to have a point. Some of them are going to be bad, just to show you that bad things do happen on ThredUp too. It's not all roses and unicorns. But when the good ones are good, they are good. So I think I have to move me. Move me. Okay, so let's see what's next, because I don't even remember. I did this a few days ago. Okay, Yippee, your item sold. This is an Ann Taylor silk skirt, size 14. Your payout, $38. Yes, please. I had this up on Poshmark, I'm pretty sure. I had a couple red skirts like this, but I'm pretty sure I had this one on Poshmark and like couldn't give it away. I'm pretty sure that's the one. $38, yes. Yes, yes, and yes. ThredUp, oh, Eileen Fisher casual pants, size medium. So this was my thing. What I was originally doing when I was still on Poshmark and ThredUp was getting started for me. I would put my larger sizes of Eileen Fisher, large and up, on Poshmark, and the smaller Eileen Fisher sizes on ThredUp. And here's what happened. The larger sizes sold very quickly on Poshmark, but only for around $20 to $30. If you saw some of my what sold videos in the past, you'll know. I'd be like, oh my God, Eileen Fisher, bam, bam, I'm selling all these Eileen Fisher, selling fast, but selling on offers for like $20 to $30. And on ThredUp, I've been selling them in a longer time frame. Less of them have been selling, but they've been selling for way better prices, and the smaller sizes are also selling. So this is something to think about. So these Eileen Fisher casual pants in size medium, I got a $60 payout. Hello. Yes, 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 and yes. So that was one of the good ones. So this, I ordered a Macys liquidation palette, not this past July of 2020. So I guess it was July of 2019. It might have been July of 2018. I honestly don't know, like everything just mushes together. I don't even know, but I ordered a Macys palette and it was cool and I enjoyed it. And some things sold really quickly. I got the price somewhere between $2 and $3. I think it was like $2.67 is kind of what I remember, that was my per item price for the palette. And so some things went really well. But then there was a lot of things that I was just like, eh. It was a lot of house brands. Like there were some good brands that are carried at Macy's, but there were also a lot of house brands like Style & Co. and JM Collection and Karen Scott and what have you. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. When I listed them on Poshmark as multiple quantity listings, because some of them had several sizes for the same, you know, SKU, I was surprised. I wasn't making a ton of money on them, but I was making 10, 15, 20 bucks sometimes on them. And I was very happy with it. I was surprised that even though it was just Style & Co., they were selling. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. Now, I sold a bunch on Poshmark that way. Then I took a bunch of the more like t-shirt, kind of cheaper tops, like, you know, they maybe were $39 retail. And I took those to Style Encore to sell as a to sell to them. I keep calling them buy sell trade stores, and they're not a trade store. It's a buy and sell store. So I would sell things to Style Encore, and I made like between $3 and $4 on them. So I was just happy to get my money back and get rid of the item that I didn't want to sell on Poshmark because it just wasn't worth it to list it. But I ended up making on some of them $1 profit. So I made profit that way. I made profit on Poshmark, and then I still had some left. And these were the last few items. So I sent them all to ThredUP. ThredUP bought all of them outright. So I didn't make a lot of money on them, but I basically tripled my money for items that didn't sell elsewhere, and they sold basically immediately on ThredUp. And so I showed just one of these sweaters, but I had, I think, 3 or 4 of this same sweater in pink. I had another one that was in blue, and there's probably a few more that have gone to them that have sold to customers that weren't this particular sweater, but that were like long sleeve tops that were part of that liquidation, but that sold to customers. And I tripled my, my investment. So I feel like that was really good. And I just share that as if it's a new with tags item, even if it's a house brand, it can still do well on ThredUp. You're not going to make a lot of money on it. But as long as you're tripling your money on something that you're barely doing work on, I feel like that's an okay range to be in. I mean, that's just me and what I'm working on, but I just wanted to share that with you as an opportunity. Now, here is a want. So I used to give out awards in my What Sold on Poshmark. This gets the whatever stinker award that I used to, I don't even remember what the awards names were, but if you've been watching, you know what I'm talking about. So this is Chico's, but it's editions by Chico's. And so I never really knew, like, there's Weekender, there's Travelers, there's Chico's, and there's editions by Chico's, and maybe there's more, but those are the only ones I'm thinking of. And I've sent them all to ThredUp, and I'm seeing now how it's shaking out. So and I've never really paid attention. I've never looked up these lines to be like, oh, this is a this line and this is a this line. So this must be like a value line or something, because the retail pricing that they're giving it and the payouts that I'm getting are way less than the regular Chico's brand and also the Travelers or the Weekender. So I've had all types have sold so far, but I point out this one because if you do get editions by Chico's, maybe you should not send it to ThredUp, because like my average cost of goods on where this came from, my bulk pre-owned purchasing is $3 per item. And so I lost $2.25 on this by sending it to ThredUp. So what would have probably made a better decision than sending this to ThredUp would have been to say, take it to the buy sell trade store, buy sell store. God. Take it to the buy sell store like Style Encore. I probably would have gotten anywhere between $2 and $3 for it, which would have made some of my money back, all of my money back, break even. Maybe I would have gotten $4. You never know. Because I'm not selling it on Poshmark. Otherwise, ideally, I would sold this on Poshmark. And even if I got $10 for it or $15 for it, I still would have been in the profit. But then it would have required me to take photos of it and list it and store it and all of that. And that's not what I'm doing right now. So I blurted everything out, threw up all of that information just to share with you that not all of the sub-brands of a brand are equal in ThredUp's eyes. Got to pay attention. You might get burned on some things. Maybe you send in one of something to test it out before you send in all of your editions by Chico. Like, I'm really happy that I didn't have like 20 things from editions by Chico's, and therefore I would have lost money on all of them. you live and you learn, and I'm fine with living and learning, but if you don't pay attention to these things, then you're gonna keep losing. So it's one thing to make a mistake and then learn from it. It's another thing to make a mistake and then keep doing it. So don't do that. So this is just 5. Again, I am planning on doing some just sold of ThredUP videos coming really soon. But this was just a snippet of some for this video for this purpose. So that is that. So now let's move in to answering your questions. So I have 5 questions. We'll see, because I'm already being very long-winded at this point. So, you know, I don't, you know, maybe we'll do 3. I don't know. So the first one I just recently got on a video, and I think it was my boutique video, and it said, do we sew our own name label inside before we sell a boutique item on Poshmark? And I said, no, I don't do that. I guess you could do that, but I don't do that. And I've never have, and I probably won't. When you order boutique items, you can order them in all sorts of ways. There are like actual boutique brands, like an UMG or something like that, that you could buy wholesale. And then there are no name things that you can get from China on all kinds of websites that are wholesale. And they will have their own tags, and there'll be varying types of tags. Some will have a hang tag, some won't. You could add your own tag to it if you want to brand it as your own. And then you're basically, what is that called? White label? I'm losing it. White label, I think, where you're labeling it as your own. I've never done that. I don't think that you need to do that. I don't think most people do it. I do brand it when you do a listing on Poshmark for a boutique item. I do brand it as on my rack. So I do call it my brand. That's the brand of the item, because there is no brand. And that's how I handle that. But I don't put any kind of tag that says on my rack. So that's the answer to that question. Next one is, love all your hints for the header. Where do you add them from? Maybe it can only be done from the desktop. So I have a header video coming out, if it's not out already. And I think she was watching a closet review, and I was talking about the header of your closet. And now I specifically did a video all about the header and how you can make one and all of that. So I definitely direct people that have questions about the header or want to improve their header to look at that video when it's out. But it doesn't have to be done just from the desktop. So basically you can do it from your app, or you can do it on the desktop. And if you're talking about a closet bookmark, that is just a listing. So the closet bookmark sign is just you creating a listing, and instead of putting photos of a clothing item, you're putting your bookmark sign. So that's a listing, and then the header is just in your profile, and I believe you can access it from your app or from your desktop as well. Next one. Hi, Rebecca. Thanks for sharing this info with us. I saw you send a packing list in with your items. When you send them in, do you include an MSRP for each item on the packing list? Do you mind sharing what you include on your packing list? Thanks again. So this is referring to ThredUP. I do include a packing list. I was directed and suggested to do a packing list from Chriselle, who taught the ThredUP course and how to be successful on ThredUP course. If you're interested in taking that course, I have a discount link down below, and I highly, highly recommend it. I have several videos with tips about ThredUP, and I just recently launched a ThredUP tracker, which is exactly what I use. And I kept saying it's coming, because I wanted to perfect how I used it before I shared it and made it available for purchase. And so it's a Google Sheet, so it's like Excel, but it's Google Sheets, and it has a template for a packing list, and it has a template for several templates for how to track your sales and your inventory and all of your numbers. And I was including MSRP in there in my packing list, so you can see that if you purchase exactly what's in there. And I just recently decided, well, this takes a lot of time. And you know I'm all about saving time. Let me not do it. So I'm testing right now if anything happens, if the earth comes crashing down and I make way less money if I don't put the MSRP, because I feel like ThredUP is going to put whatever they're going to put, whether you tell them or not. Like perhaps maybe somebody will look at yours and be like, oh, okay. But I think that they go off of their data. And so me looking up sometimes MSRP or me putting the MSRP in there is just a time consuming task. I don't guess, I look it up. And so I felt like that was a time consuming part that I could really cut down on if I didn't feel like it was benefiting me in any way. So right now I'm testing that. The jury is still out. I don't know for sure if I would go back to it or not. But so I used to, and now I'm not putting MSRP. And that's as far as I can go on that one. The next one is, hi Rebecca, as always, love your videos, always something to be learned. Question, it appeared that there was air catching under the dress you were taking picture of at times. Was that on purpose for better images of the dress? And if so, did you use a fan, where and how? So this was from my video that I did recently about photographing long items. So if you have an issue with square mode and long items and maxi dresses, check out that video because I showed the whole thing. But I did have the fan on, but it was just because I was hot and recording the video and taking the pictures and I had the lights on. It was not for the purpose of getting a good shot. And actually, it's a real bummer. I wish I could have the fan on more when I'm taking photos, but I actually turn the fan off when I'm taking photos because it does move the item. And I don't want that because it messes with your shot and you're taking it a few times and sometimes it comes out like, you know, with a blur. So no, I didn't put the fan on purpose to get a better photo. I actually think the fan hurts your photos, but if you figure out a way to make it look better, then use your fan and make it look better. But for me, I don't. I just had the fan on because I was gosh darn hot because I was explaining everything, recording, doing the task, and had the lights on. It was just way too much. So that was not intentional. And the last one is, what backdrop do you use? Where can I find something similar to that to create a white background? So this was also from that same video where you could see that I have a white paper photo backdrop. Now, some people have the things where there's a frame and it's like a screen, kind of like a vinyl or what are those pull down like projecting screens, kind of like that material. I don't have that. This is paper. It's literally a roll of thick paper that you can hang on your wall and it creates a white background, and that's all I use. And honestly, I bought it on Amazon. It's linked in my Amazon store. It was well worth the money because I think it was like $39 or $35. And I've only ever used the same piece and I've had it for well over a year now. And I did a whole video on that about how I do my white photo backdrop and like a review, how I hung it, exactly how I did it. Like that video is very like, here's exactly what to do with it. So you can check out that video. So I use the white photo backdrop. I use daylight, box lights. Those are also linked in my Etsy store. And then I also do a quick edit on my cover shot with the Pick Tap Go app. So those three things get the best photos that I've ever taken in all the 4 years of reselling. So you don't need the photo backdrop, you don't need the lights, and you don't need to edit. But I think those three things combined will get you the best photos you possibly can take. And if you have a wall that is not anywhere near white, like it's a beige wall, it's a blue wall, then having that white is nice because then it really just gives you that basic white background. So I highly recommend it and I do think it's worth it. And I sent her the link to that. So those are the questions that I have for this week. What I'd love to do, because I just kind of pulled those from prior videos, comments that I already answered that person and then just pulled it here so I could share those questions and answers with you. But what I'd love to do is get more questions on this video. So comment down below what questions you have and then I can do those questions in the next one. So if every week we're, you know, because maybe it's a question on something that happened here, or maybe it's just something new. So if you have a question that you want covered in this section of next time's video, put that in the comments below. I'm trying it. The next segment is beyond reselling. And guys, I feel like this is going very long. So tell me in the comments below if you feel like this is too long, or if you like a long video and you like all these different segments, or you want me to cut some out, or what, tell me, because I don't know. So beyond reselling, this is just an intro to this segment. I'm not going to cover a particular topic in this segment. I just wanted to explain it more. That way you could tell me if it's something you want me to include or not. So you know now, if you've watched me any amount of time, I have my reseller Etsy store. So I create print downloads that you can, I created an item that's a digital download. That's another way that I make money. I have my print on demand business where I sell my designs on shirts and mugs and things like that on Etsy, and also on Amazon merch on Amazon. I have my Calendly, new reseller chats. I have, just several different reseller streams of income. These are things that I call creating a web, it's hard to say, creating a revenue web is what I call it for me, is that I resell, right? That's where I started. I started reselling kids' clothes on TotSpot. It turned into Poshmark and women's clothes and this and this and this. Then it turned into YouTube. Then it turned into affiliate products on Amazon that I sell. Then it turned into having my own digital downloads on Etsy. Then it turned into doing my reseller chats on Calendly. Then it turned into selling affiliate things like Chriselle's ThredUP course. And I'm just now starting to become an affiliate of TubeBuddy for those that are interested in growing their YouTube channel, starting their YouTube channel, taking their YouTube channel to the next level. Like, that's what I'm working on right now, is building my YouTube. And so now I'm going to start talking about the tools that I use for that. So I have all of these offshoots from reselling that are all still really related to reselling, but they're now almost businesses of their own. They're parts of a revenue web is what I call it. And so I would love to talk more about those things. The problem is, I'd like to add little snippets here, and then you guys can tell me, yes, I want a video specifically about that, or I have a question about this, or no, I don't care about that. That's not helpful to me. Because if I start it a little bit here, then it can take on a life of its own. But I find that resellers aren't necessarily searching for videos that are specifically about these other things, even though they could really benefit from having a revenue web of their own. It may not look exactly like mine because our skill sets might be different and our passions might be different, but we all have a unique thing that we bring to reselling that allows us to create our own revenue web. And that's kind of what I'm excited to talk about, is taking these other parts that you bring to reselling and making more money off of them. So that's my thought of kind of the thing. Oh, I have a graphic and I didn't. Ta-da! Beyond reselling. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about with this. So let me know what you think about it. Yes, no, maybe so, all of that. And then the last thing to talk about today is the tip of the day. So I'm going to try to always have a tip of the day. We'll see how it goes. But this one is that relisting is still powerful. And there's been some interesting things going on, like realizing the power of relisting a few months ago and relisting more myself on Poshmark, on Mercari. I'm like, yes, okay, relisting is the way to go. Who cares about the likes? If they didn't buy it just because they liked it, doesn't matter, I'm relisting it. Okay. Then I took on Vendoo to help me relist and cross-post and relist and delist and all of that kind of thing. So I ended up purchasing that and I like it. And I have a code down below if you want to try that. So, and I may make videos on that. Then Poshmark came out with the copy feature and I was like, okay, but that didn't help me with the Mercari cross-posting. So I still kept Vendoo, still did my cross-posting and my relisting and delisting on Mercari, and that's great. But for Poshmark, I just did the copy feature. Okay, fine, free, it works, okay, good. Then we just found out recently that the Poshmark copy feature doesn't treat it like a brand new listing and put it in just in, which it used to. Now it's in the same time frame as the original listing. So if you created something, today is August 23rd, and you created a listing today and then relisted it a week from now, it's not going to have a week from now's date as far as listing. It's going to have today's date because today is when the original listing came out. So that kind of throws a monkey wrench in the power of the relisting. but you could still manually relist, and that would accomplish the same original task before the copy feature ever came out. And so that's why I'm saying relisting is still powerful. Just because they had a feature and now it works a little differently or whatever, maybe it'll change back, maybe it won't, I don't know. Maybe you use software, maybe you don't, I don't know. It is what it is. However you want to relist, however you want to take a listing that is already there and then basically create a new listing that is exactly the same as the old listing, and then getting rid of the old listing. So now you only have the new listing as a way to freshen that item in the feed and in the sharing and all the things. That is still powerful. Like that is still something that we all should be doing. And I was doing that, and I've shared videos a long time ago on my channel where I had a whole system when I had my virtual assistant where if it hit this amount of time being listed, she did these things. If it hit this amount of time being listed, she relisted it. If it hit this amount of time, she did X, Y, and Z. Like I had an entire listing management system that was triggered on how many days the item was listed for versus price drops, relisting it, like all sorts of, I had it all listed out for her, and she did all those tasks for me. When I didn't have her anymore, that kind of all fell by the wayside because I just couldn't keep up with it. Because again, I'm a mom and this is part of what I do. So if you're someone that's really focused on all of this, you should have a relisting plan regardless of any software, regardless of any websites, and regardless of any copy features that is for your business, for you to put that listing in front of people again as a fresh new listing. And so don't get all caught up in all the whatevers. Just relist it. It's still powerful. It still brings it to the forefront. And so that's kind of my main tip for today. It's something I've been thinking about and I wanted to kind of share it with you. It's still powerful. It's still potentially something that can bring you sales and help you move inventory. And I did have a few other notes. It can give you more activity because you're doing more listings. It can freshen it up. It can save you in sourcing time because you don't have to go and get another item to have a listing that day. And so if you're somebody that operates on, I do 3 listings a day, I do 5 listings a day, I do 10 listings a day, whatever that is, if you had one of them be a relist, that saves you from having to source one other item. In addition, it saves you money because you're not paying for an additional item to get that same amount of activity in those same listings. So if you normally go out and spend $2 an item on 5 items, and now today you only need 4 items because you're going to relist one item, now you're only spending $8 instead of $10. And so that's just another way to look at it. So it's really easy for us all to kind of get caught up in a lot of things, but sometimes you just need to boil it down and be like, does this thing make sense for me and my business? Who cares what everybody, I mean, it is so good to learn from other people. I'm putting out information. I get information from other people. I get information from you guys all the time, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, and you have to say, just because they're doing it or saying this about it, or this is their opinion about it, doesn't mean that that has to be mine. Because it is your business, you're in charge. And so if relisting works for you, keep doing it. If relisting doesn't work for you, maybe change how you're doing it, or don't do it at all. But I do still think it's powerful, and that's what I wanted to leave you with today. So this was a long video. I don't think all of them will be this long in the future. I really am interested in your feedback and your comments and your questions about each of these segments and what you thought. Yes, like I want to know what you guys are thinking, because I want it to be valuable for you, but I also want it to do well, right? Because otherwise, what's the point of me making it? So anyway, if you are new to this channel, wow, this was a doozy. Thanks for sticking around till the end. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel so we can hang out again. And if you are a subscriber, thank you so much for sticking around too, but for being a subscriber. I really do appreciate it. And leave me a comment below so I can say hi, and like this video on the way out so YouTube can tell other resellers about it. Thanks so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Stop recording.